And welcome to Lit by Moonlight, where it's not a phase to read this book and then hyperfixate on it for several months on end, haunted by how good it is, fully unable to move on.
It's me barfing. Did I tell you now? I don't know why we do this, but whenever something gross happens, Liam Fishwas and I have started doing this thing where we make the cat's throw up sound.
Oh no!
We just go, whoa! And I think that's really funny.
I think it's really funny too.
So like, insert cat throw up sounds here. But not because it's gross, but more because I'm emotionally disturbed by this book and how good it is.
Sometimes the only thing you can do is vomit when something's
Yeah,
really good.
sometimes you gotta vom. So this week, we're reviewing the sequel to Hafsah Faizal's We Hunt the Flame, called We Free the Stars. The Zumara is back, baby, and they are on a mission to restore the hearts of the sisters of old to the minarets of each caliphate. What sacrifices will Zafira and Nasir, each battling their own darkness, need to make to ensure that the line of the night possessing Nasir's father is destroyed and that the magic is restored to Arawiya? I'm Emberlin, and I have a confession to make.
Yeah, what's that?
I have been eating honey out of the bottle for the past week.
Oh, but okay, listen, you shouldn't be ashamed for that, because honey is so good. I could eat that out of the bottle, and I'm kind of upset that I don't. I'm proud of you.
It started with like an AU that we're both reading, which is about these two people that make honey, and it's like romantic.
If you know about the bees, you know about the bees.
Yeah, and ever since I've been reading it, I'm like, damn, I just like want to take a bite out of a honeycomb, but it's like really expensive to buy one online, and I can't justify the expense. Yeah. So I've just been like going into my cupboard at random times and like taking out the little bear-shaped bottle and squeezing some into my finger and just like licking it up like Coke. So yeah, it's like doing a line. Like, I'm gonna go to a party and be like, do you want to do a line? And someone will be like, sure. And I'll just take out, like,
take out a little honey bottle. And just
let's drop some K! Okay? That's honey. You're weird.
Yeah, I got the good stuff. I thought that was the honey right now.
I'm drinking a pressed juice. And it's got this sort of, like, honeyish glow, so it does look like I'm in fact drinking honey.
I was like, wow, she's really committing to it.
I totally committed to it.
I was like, it's gonna be hard to talk with a mouthful of honey, but go on.
I love this so much.
Oh, but honey's so good. I remember when I was little and I got sick, and like my mom, like I remember learning that honey is good for your throat, and my mom's like, "Here, have a spoonful of honey." And I was like, I think it was like the first time I've ever had it, or was like aware of it, and so I had it, and I was like, "Can I have more, please, right now?" And then I was like, I remember like asking like, "Can I have a spoonful of honey?" Like when I wasn't sick, and my mom's like, "No, we can't waste it," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, Mom." Can I have more honey? Like, it's so good.
It's so good. I remember the summer.
The bee's knees, if you will.
Yeah. So good.
What, Bobbin?
I remember the summer, every couple of months, my stepdad has ADHD, so he'll just find a new weird hobby. And I remember the summer that he started raising bees, and it was so interesting. Like, he built bee houses in our front yard, and we had bees, and they were making honey, and I just think about that a lot. Like, I just feel like once men drop past the age of 50, they just start having weird hobbies every couple of months. And whenever you check in with them, they're like, "Oh, what's your dad doing now?" He's like, "Oh, he's raising rabbits." It's like some weird shit. He's a beekeeper. Yeah, it's like, and I love that. I mean, it's better than cheating on your wife.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So who are you?
I am Caitlin, and I do crafts now.
Woo! Tell us about your crafts.
Okay, so I do embroidery. I just finished one the other day. I'm very excited about it. I want to do more. I have more little embroidery kits that I'm gonna be doing later. I'm also currently working on like those little perler bead things where like you set them up with little things and then you iron them.
Yes.
And make stuff. I'm making a Christmas tree. Yes. And I'm really excited about it because I haven't really had hobbies. I feel like hands-on hobbies that aren't like, reading or taking walks, and I feel like I haven't been crafty in a long time, and so I'm having a great time. It's keeping me off of my phone, or pahoni, as we like to say in this house, and I love it. I love not being on my phone, and I love making things.
Can we do a craft corner on our TikTok when you come down?
Of course we can!
Every couple of days, we'll just be like, hi, today we're going to make a craft, and we'll have a craft to do.
I think we should.
That feels like a good thing.
I think it's great. Crafting is great. It's great for the soul, great for the mind.
It is good for the mind. It's so much more fun and exciting than being on your phone.
I'm having a good time. I think it's helping the old mental health,
Mm-hmm. I feel like my brain is rotting when I'm on TikTok or like any other social media app.
100%.
And I was thinking the other day about how there are certain things I just cannot remember. And I cannot remember a single TikTok I've sent you. Like, at all. I'm like, no, you send me a TikTok, I have to go back and watch the TikTok to the TikTok to know like what you're responding to. Yep. And it just makes me wonder like how much has just like 15 to 30 second blurbs of video sped up just affected my memory. So
no, 100%. Someone brought up something that happened while we were like in high school the other day, and I was like, I don't remember that. It took me a long time to think about it.
Was it me stalking you?
Yeah. Fun fact, before we started the podcast, I was telling Emberlin, I'm like, hey, remember that time that I thought you were like someone was stalking me, but it was just you with a new number?
Oh no, this is going to become public information now.
It was really funny, but I was like, hey, I remember that. Time to bring it up again. But anyway, we're talking about We Free the Stars today. Emberlin, what did you think of the world building?
So, I think a lot as was the case with We Hunt the Flame, I really love this. Arawia is so unique from the other worlds we've read about in our fantasy series. I remember talking about this a little bit in the episode we did about We Hunt the Flame. Just how, like, typically in a lot of YA fantasy novels, I feel like we're visiting a lot of, like, Eastern European or French or English regions, or, like, regions that are at least loosely based on, like, Western Europe and Eastern Europe. So it's nice to see Arabian representation in fantasy. And I feel like, what more can you say? Like, the settings are really rich, very interesting. It's got the I want to go to their seal of approval.
Yeah.
It's just, like, it's really mesmerizing. I included a little, like, quotey quote in my notes, and I guess I'll share it. Should I share it?
You should share it.
Okay, I guess I will. I'm, like, twirling my hair. There was a kind of sand rare in the desert that appeared as harmless as normal sand until it sank beneath one's feet, swallowing the unsuspecting, worsening the longer they struggled, loosening its grip only when they did the opposite. This was how grief was. The longer one wallowed, the more it hungered.
Woof. She really gets it, right? Like, she really nails the hits the nail on the head. I was like, nails the hammer on the head.
It hits the nail on the hammer, and the hammer, yes.
This is why I don't write. She really gets it, because, like, in We Hunt the Flame, she had a quote about snow, or, like, the metallic taste of, like, the cold or whatever, and I was like, yeah! Mm-hmm. As someone who lives in places that go below freezing a lot,
yeah,
you got it, girl.
Oh my god, I remember that. My memories are totally fried. That's cool.
And it's TikTok. But yeah, it was. She just really, like, she really puts you in there. You know, you say I want to go to there, and Hafsah's like, okay. She's just like, boop.
Yes.
Pops you in. Yeah, I can't, like, say anything else that's gonna be, like, really well said, because I'm just really in it. This is the second time I've read this book, but I read it. I just finished it for the second time today, right. And I'm just kind of going insane over it. Oh, hey, Manny, what's going on?
He won't shut the fuck up. I'm sorry.
That's fine. He's here now. But yeah, I also said I want to go to there. Like, this world really does stand out from all of the other fantasy worlds that we've read. It feels vivid, and even when the world lacks magic, it feels so magical. I just every place that you go within, like when they're traveling, like, I can see it so vividly in my head, and it plays out like a movie. And there's been books that I've read where it's just kind of like fuzzy around the edges sometimes, because I'm like, I don't completely know where I am, but I know where these two people are sitting in a room. Mm-hmm. But, like, with this, I'm like, oh yeah, I see the entire picture, and it's just it's so cool and it's so interesting, and I liked how connected more of like the other caliphates were getting in this book too, and just like getting more into the powers there and how they're affected by the arts going down, and just I don't know, man. This book is really pretty, and I want to go to there is my main bit. I really
I
like
want
the
to
world
go to
building.
there. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like with the quote that I mentioned, what I love about that, and what I love about a lot of the metaphors that Faisal creates in the book, is that she uses her own symbols and setting
Yeah.
to create those things. Like, she could have just talked about sand generally, but instead she talked about this sand in Auraria. And I was like, wow, like, I just love when people can do that, and it just,
And to equate that to the feeling of grief, it's like,
yeah.
ow. It makes you. She really makes you feel things.
She does. She said, you're not gonna come out of this unscathed. Was there like a specific moment in this book that hooked you?
My hook was when I picked up We Hunt the Flame. Because I was in it. I loved that book, but I know we're talking about Refree the Stars, but there wasn't anything that needed to hook me for this. I was here. I was in it. I was ready to go. I wasn't like, all right, gotta wrap me back into this world, like get me hooked on this story. Like, no. We Hunt the Flame with Altair with the lion, and they had left him there, and they didn't know exactly that that he was left behind yet. And so I was already like, all right, how is he gonna get back? What are they gonna do with the hearts? They're missing a heart. What's gonna happen? The arts is gone. Like, how does this affect? Like, I was in it. I was in it from the beginning, and there wasn't a single moment in this book that really like it. I mean, this book is over 500 pages long. There's like 107 or 10 like chapters in this book. It's so long, but there's not a moment where I'm just like, all right, well, this is dragging out. Okay, I can tune out for a bit. Like, I was in it, really in it. So, was there a moment for you that hooked you?
No, same with you. Like, I feel like I couldn't choose a particular moment, because I was already hooked. Like, we already read the first book and really enjoyed it, and I just was like, of course I'm going to pick up another book about these people. And I think that's kind of, if there was a hook for the book in general, not so much like a moment in the book that hooked me, I'd say like the characters are a huge selling point for this book.
Oh yeah.
I think like the whole Zumra is so interesting. These characters are what really makes the series. When you read this book, you've got Nasir and Saphira and Altair's struggles, which immediately become the center of your world. I remember like taking this book home with me for a trip in October, and I remember just like getting lost in the pages so many times because I was so caught up in their lives and emotions that I was feeling a lot of those emotions with them, because I'm an empath. So it really pulls you in. Like, you're really just kind of there in it with them and like living through their struggles with them, and I really like that.
I love good ensemble like cast like within books. Like, I think my favorite books have like a solid like group of characters that play off of each other. Yeah. And like a good example of that is Six of Crows, which I've talked about multiple times on this podcast. Yeah. It's just, that's my favorite book, and what I love about that is the character dynamics, and this book is no different. Like, there's just, I'm gonna talk about it later, but there's so many like character dynamics that are so good in this book. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's what I'm excited about for this episode. I think the most too is just being able to dive into like the characters and their lives and their dynamics, because I do feel like that is what this book is about. Like, that is the main point. Like, the plot is excellent, but that is one of the richest pieces of the book. So, let's get into it. Do you have a favorite quote?
I feel like we're getting into this habit of having multiple favorite quotes, which I'm okay with. Like, that's great.
That tells you the writing is superb when you're like, I can't narrow it down to one. Sorry.
It's better than the books where I'm like, I don't have a single fucking line in this book that I liked. Like, I would take that any day.
Yep.
I literally put in here in my notes, like, Watch Mojo's top 10 quotes that made me audibly gasp.
Welcome to Watch Mojo.
It was just, like...
Yeah. Yep.
I feel like one of the underlying themes in Faisal's work is devotion. So that's kind of what that's kind of the overarching theme for all of my favorite quotes. Like, devotion might as well be my love language personally. Like this idea that a friend or like a lover will be there for you through everything till the very end and never betray you and would always bare their soul to you and be truthful to you and would never abandon you, and like basically follow you to the ends of the earth. That they just like see you as like the stars and they adore you and they consider you their whole world. Like that's the stuff. Like that's good. Like good writing, good relationship building, a great character dynamic. So without further ado, I want to start with maybe my favorite line from this book, which is something that Altair says to Nasir. He says, "Do you understand, brother? You'll have me. No matter how thick the night, I will always be there to light your way."
Literally too, because his power is the light and Nasir's is the shadows, and their relationship throughout this book was so good. So good. And I have more to say about that later, but do go on about that quote if you need to.
Well, I will. I guess I'll just say, like, to your point, you ever, like, so, like, in the Peanuts, when, like, they scream, and they, like, all you see is them lifting up their heads and their nose, and there's just the large gaping black mouth. That is how I feel about that quote. Like, because I really, when I first started the book, I was worried that Faizal would take Altair's character in the direction of sympathizing so much with the lion that he becomes him or just becomes bad. But that was never going to happen because that man is just too golden. Like, it would never happen. And I just feel like this is such a great example of, like, what a lovely and wonderful and just, like, rich person that Altair has because he has so much love for his brother.
Yeah, I was afraid of him sympathizing with the lion, too, because as we come to find out that the lion is his father, but also that the lion is, like, manipulating Altair and being like, hey, they left you here, and they don't give a shit. They didn't even look back for you. And then, like, you can see, like, that bothers Altair because, of course, it would. Yeah. Like, all of your friends left and they didn't notice that you were gone. Like, right. I know you had a big mission and everything, but I'd still be like, hey, the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on? And I like that Nasir and Altair, like, later on in the book, after they're reunited and everything, like, they talk about it, and Nasir is just like, we didn't even know that you weren't there until we lifted anchor, and we're already on our way. And it was too late, basically, like, we didn't know. And Altair basically told him, was like, listen, I want you to know that if the roles were reversed, I would have come back for you. Like, I would have done that, like, no matter what, I would have still come back for you. And Nasir's just like, yeah, I know you would. And Nasir's like, I have to do some reflection about that.
Nasir's literally just like top 5 reason for me being a piece of shit because that's how he feels all the time.
Yeah. Like, just add that to the fucking list. But,
add that to the list. Yeah. Yes. I'm excited to talk more about their dynamic later on because it's just so special. So there are so few books I read these days where, like, the sibling dynamic is just, like, pristine. So we'll be coming back to that. So another one of them that really gets me going is he knew of a person who would take her to the ends of the world if only she would ask. He would take the stars from the sky and fashion them into a crown if only she would have it.
Literally, shut the fuck up. Like, stop. Take the stars from the sky and make them into a crown. Hello?
Die. That activated the sleeper agent in me that wants to actually go, like, leap off a cliff. Actually, I can't even, like, sugarcoat it.
No, that's fair.
So I was thinking about it. I'm like, no. That's how it makes me feel.
Yeah. Just another, wah!
Yeah, and it just, I think this is another great line that exemplifies Faisal's gift of prose. Like, she's such an incredible writer. That's all you hear people say, and, like, it's all you hear people, like, critics say. It's true. Like, I've read very bad reviews of her book where people are like, well, I didn't like it. And I'm like, you're stupid. Like,
what could you not like about this book?
I saw, a text post the other day that was like, I respect your opinion. No, I don't respect your opinion. I respect your right to have an opinion, but your opinion is still bullshit. And that's how I feel about this, but I don't even think I respect that right for you to have an opinion on this, because it's actually very good, and you're wrong.
It's so good.
So there's that. And then finally, because we don't have a lot of time, and I have a lot of quotes, tame me, he said in desperation. Be mine, wholly and utterly. What the fuck are you talking about? I just want to say, Faizal is who Colleen Hoover stands think she is, which is the modern day Jane Austen. And I don't want to be reductionist by saying this book is my modern day Pride and Prejudice. So I'll say that it's so much more than that to me. I need a book where someone confides their love to someone, like, pathetically, like, weakly, like, they just can't take it anymore. They have to, or they will just keep falling apart inside, like, it's hurting them. The People's Princess, Matthew McFadden, clothed in Mr. Darcy's garb, would be proud. And that's what y'all get for taking away Z Library.
Yeah. Oh my god. Ugh.
What were your quotes?
Library. My quotes. I have quite a few. I'm gonna try to rapid fire these, but I do have thoughts on them.
Don't rapid fire them. Let's talk about it.
All right. So my first one comes from page 6. This is where you're like, wow, we're already fucking in it. Hafsah Faizal's like, I'm gonna give you some banger lines straight off the bat just to make you feel things. And that first quote is, somewhere on Shar, his heart had found a beat and he intended to keep it going. The immediate growth that we see from Nasir, like, he spent all this time, like, thinking that he was unlovable, that he is closed off and he's a monster, and he's just like, you know what? With these people that are now my found family, I have a heart and I care about them and I don't want to lose that, and I want to keep that feeling. I want to keep these feelings, and they're just, the growth is so good.
Cheers to that, mate.
So good. My next quote comes from Lana, who I absolutely adore. And she tells Zafira, titles don't tell you who a person is. Like, I love that so much because a lot of this book was about both Zafira and Nasir. So they have, like, Zafira is the demon-hewn hunter and Nasir is the Prince of Death. But now the artist is gone, and Zafira no longer has to be that hunter, and no longer can be because there's nowhere to hunt for her, for the people to get her the food. So, like, who is she without that? And, like, she's losing pieces of herself. She no longer has her cloak to hide her. People know that she is a woman. She lost her Baba's Jambia, which I will talk about later because I'm still not okay with that. But she's losing pieces of herself, and then she's kind of, like, looking up at the world and being like, who am I? Mm-hmm. Like, who am I? She's like, I'm the Demon Hunter. And Lana is, like, looking at her sister being like, you know, you're a person without that title. Like, and it's so good. And then with Nasir being the Prince of Death, but not wanting to be that person anymore, and wanting to no longer be seen as a threat or an assassin, and just be someone who is loved and who can love. It's so much. And just seeing both of them as people, like, be able to grow out of that, like, mold that they put themselves in or were put into was just so cool. And I really liked that. And just for that line to be told to Zafira by her little sister, it was just really good, because Lana had some banger quotes.
Lana.
So much. I want to talk about her more when we talk about her favorite characters, so
please,
I'll save that. Another line was, it was then that he knew his soul has found its match. Like, literally, stop when your soul has found its match. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like there's no one else that, like, you could, like, desire or want to be with other than that person. And, like, the fact that Nasir realized that when he thought Nasira died, because, like, he talks about, like, his soul ripped in half, or, like, he left his soul behind and blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh man, you're going through it.
Twin flame romance, baby.
Twin flame romance.
Various mole sounds.
Various mole sounds. My next quote comes from Altair, my beloved. He says, it means that no matter what needs to be done to make the children of this forsaken kingdom smile again, I will do it. Show me a better man.
He's their Leslie Knope.
He's Mr. Leslie Knope. I love him so much. Just like the care that he has for the people of like the kingdom, but mainly like the children and wanting to change stuff is why ultimately, like with what happens at the end, I love that happened because I'm like, there's of course he's perfect. He's perfect for it. I love
perfect.
it. A few more.
No, keep going. Keep talking.
This book is so good.
There's so much. There's so many bars.
So another favorite thing about this duology is Kifa as a character, but also the fact that she has both of the lines in the books that have the title of the book, which I love. I love getting to the part in books where the title finally makes sense if it's not like automatically apparent, because it's just like, okay, why is this called We Hunt the Flame? Oh, because Kifa had this whole line about it. And okay, why is this one called We Free the Stars? Well, it was because Kifa tells Zephyra, we free the stars, shatter the darkness holding us captive, and return the world to the splendor it once was. Like, it's so good, and I just feel like that it just shows you, like, with them wanting to restore magic, it's not even just the magic, but just like being able to live in a world without like fear anymore, and just like the darkness holding us captive, like literally kill me. Like, and she gets those banger like prosy lines, and it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. Oh.
Your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thought. Well, I do have a lot of thoughts on that later, but I just want to say, I think what makes Kifa such a special character is, like, not only does she have those lines, but she really is. And I have to remember the exact book blog I read this on. I think it was Becky's book club blog. If anyone's interested, I'll link it in the thing. But she mentioned that Kifa is really the glue that holds the Zoomrad together. And I couldn't agree with that more. Like, that's who she is. Like, Kifa is considered this minor character. She doesn't have like a perspective like Altair and Nasir and Zephyra all do, but like she's just as important. Like her lifestyle, her experience is just as important, and I think that's what makes her so special. So I'm really glad that you highlighted that.
Yeah, she's great. I love her.
Wow.
All right, last few quotes. Was from Nasir saying, the word for what he felt for Zephyra bint Iskandar did not yet exist. So Yasmin's like, so do you love her? And he's just like, doesn't answer because he can't, like, love, the word love isn't enough for him. And like, what I love about like his character in this book is like, he's like, I love her, but like he can't say it because it's just not enough. It's not, and like he struggles with being like, I need you to have the world, but I can't give it to you
yet. If I loved you any less, I'd be able to talk about it more.
I'd be able to talk about it more, baby. Like, that is Nasir in a nutshell. So,
fucking
really liked that. Yeah, seriously. I liked Yasmin telling Zephyra, knowing you can lose something is what makes it more precious.
I love that one too.
Ow, 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 ow. My heart. There's a knife in it.
Don't take shit for granted.
Don't take shit for granted. And then finally, this is filed under ending lines that take me the fuck out. We have the ending paragraph from Nasir's perspective. I once loved. He had inked on his wrist. I will again. He inked on the other. He opened his palm and a plume of shadow curled to life. It was a reminder. People lived because he did. And to think, once upon a time, Nasir Gamek, Caliph of Saracen and Crown Prince of Awaria, had wished he could feel nothing at all. When I tell you I cried, and that the word does not exist for what I did in that moment, because cried is not enough. I literally, again, today I finished it for the second time. I read this book back in February, sobbed my eyes out at the end. I knew this was coming, but I listened to the audiobook this time, and listening to it again, I was crying over my perler beads. It was too much. I was like, oh my god. It's because, and I just think it's such a perfect ending, because the We Hunt the Flames, like, his POV starts with people died because he lived, and now it ends with people lived because he did, like, because he lives too. And it's like, oh, if only We Hunt the Flame Nasir could see we for the stars, Nasir. Oh! Oh, it's so good.
Look at your growth, babe.
Look at it.
Oh, yeah. I think, like, it makes me happy when, like, character growth in a series is well defined. Like, it's not like he learned one thing, but he's still an idiot. Like, sometimes those are satisfying endings, like, depending on the person. Like, I don't know, we watch What We Do in the Shadows. They're all terrible people. That's the point, you know?
Right.
Like, it's the same with, like, Seinfeld or, like, Veep. Like, they're all terrible. That's the fucking point. But, like, in this, I feel like it's just so satisfying because you see both Zafira and Nasir come full circle in... Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. Automatic theater. But yeah. Yeah. Nothing I think I've said this entire episode has been coherent, just because there are so many things going on in my house right now.
I think this entire review is just going to be like, so we really liked it, and our thoughts are, ah!
And the rating is going to be like, Emberlin was especially annoying this episode, because she just did not fucking
They didn't really talk about the contents of the book. They just both yelled at each other for 50 minutes, and we didn't know what was happening.
It was scary. Yeah, okay. You had a great question that you added in last second to our notes. I would love to hear it.
I do. So do you think that you could part with something that holds so much sentimental value, like how Zafira parted with her Baba's Jambia?
That's a really good question, because I feel like I think about, like, sentimental things I have, like my dad's drawings, and, like, ornaments that my mom and I got at the ballet when we went to see the Nutcracker, and, you know, like, little things like that. And it would be really hard to let go of those things in life. Like, I think the one thing that keeps me comfortable is, like, I can't take it with me. Like, in fact, maybe when I get to, like, the next, I don't know, phase of existing, whether that be, like, some sort of heaven or, like, something like that, I'd like to believe that some version of those things will be there with me in spirit. Or the people that were so sentimental and who gave them to me will be there in spirit. But I do think it is also hard to, it's hard to think about. Like, it's hard to, And then I think when it comes to, like, things that hold sentimental value for me, it's not so much things as people. And I have a really hard time with letting go of people. So the answer is no. How about you?
No, absolutely not. So when I was reading the part where she has to give up her jambia that was given by her father, who is dead, and it's like the last thing, like, she has repeatedly said, like, this is the last thing that I have from my Baba. Like, I was like, okay, so don't let go of it. And then she has to basically give it away so that she can get, like, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's basically, like, magical blood that they need for their whole mission. And honestly, if I were Zafira and they're like, yeah, if you want this, I want your knife, I'd be like, I guess we're not going to get magic again. This
is more important to me.
This is really more important to me. Like, I have like, this little bear that I gave to my grandfather when he was sick in the hospital. And he eventually did pass away, but my grandma gave me that bear back. And if you're telling me that, like, the fate of the world, like, landed on me giving someone that bear away, I'd be like, sorry guys, you're not getting this. Like, I'm not parting with that. Like, I can't do it. I literally wrote in my book, I'm like, I'm a too sentimental of a bitch to do this. Like, I can't do it. And I don't know how people do that when they're like, oh, this necklace meant this much to me, but now I want you to have it. I'd be like, no, keep it.
You can have it. You can keep it. If you go without it, you will cry like a baby. That's what I would do.
Yeah, like, I can't think. Oh, I don't know. I can't think about it. I just couldn't give anything away like that. So I was reading that. I'm just like, when I read books where people are like, okay, I have to give this really important thing to me away. Oh darn! I'd be like, every time I'm like, why are you doing it? Stop. Get some help.
Like, stop. Get some help. Find another way.
There's gotta be another way. And even Kifa was like, there's gotta be another way. And the other person was like, nah. And she's like, it's okay.
There is no other way. Yeah. I hate when that happens.
However, this is room for me to talk about this part. It was because she gave away her father's knife. Nasir gifted Zafira his knife as a gift. And it was a knife that his father gave to him, and he's now gifting it to her. And if I had a nickel for every time someone gave a girl a knife in a book as a gift, I would have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, and they both made me emotional.
Knives are the best gifts for girls, TBH. Like,
truly, yeah.
You should not be getting a girl jewelry. I don't want to see any of that ugly ass K Jewelers shit under the tree. If it's not a knife,
I don't want it.
Yeah, I don't want it. Yeah. So we're gonna stay sentimental for a second and talk a little bit about what song you would hear when you think about Nasir and Zafira's undying devotional love.
The song of me sobbing.
I love listening to that. Before I go to bed at night, I'm like, oh my god, I can't sleep. I wonder if listening to Caitlin scream sob would help me with that. And I put in my headphones, and I have a special track that she made just for me.
I do. Yep.
Yeah.
Sometimes she gets live versions where I'm like, "Are you ready for bed? Because I'm ready to cry."
Yeah. The Just Girly thing posts that are like falling asleep together on the phone, but it's just one just her screeching at me. Me. Well, I sleep soundly. Yeah. She cured my narcolepsy. Thank you.
The things I do for friendship.
Yeah.
So my song would be "I'm Here" by Rosemary and Garlic, because it's a song about feeling safe with someone, and because it has the lyrics, "I am a lover and a friend to you, a part of your palette, a shade of blue," and then also it has the lyrics, "You're all my colors and my light," because Nasir told Zafira his favorite color was all the colors that make her, and I'm super normal about that. Thank you.
Me too.
That's like one of those quotes where it's like, because she's like, "So what's your favorite color?" And he goes, "You." Where, like, I feel like out of context or anywhere else, I'd be like, "This is cheesy as fuck." But when I read this, I was like, "This is cheesy as fuck," and I was like crying about it.
It's not cringe.
Like, yeah.
I don't
think so. I think it's great.
It's just absolutely not cringe. Like, there have been couples I've read where I'm like, "Oh, get a room, you guys." But this is not that. This is again, I say, this is like some period romance shit, like divine.
So good.
Mine.
What about you?
I don't know if I'm using this one just because I've been thinking about it for like months straight. It just like haunts me at night. But "Pink in the Night" by Mitski. This song ruined my life, and I'm gonna make it everyone else's problem. Because of it's just so angsty, and I feel like it's just such a great. It's like such a great song for when people have chemistry and maybe they've kissed before, but like, oh my god, like, oh, like. So the lyrics are, "I could stare at your back all day. I could stare at your back all day. And I know I've kissed you before, but I didn't do it right. Can I try again, try again, try again, try again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again." And it just goes on and on. Wow. And it haunts me. Like, I think about it all the time. It's like the song that's in my head all the fucking time. It will not leave my head. And this is like such a great example of that song in practice, because it's like, oh, like they technically did kiss before. But it wasn't actually Nasir. Well, no, they didn't kiss, but like, you know what the vibes were. Like, you remember. Yeah. Anyway, and yeah. Next question.
What's the character you would like to actually abandon on an island with an evil guy?
I didn't really have one. Like, again, correct. Like, this is just, I feel like the main selling point of this book, as I've said before, is its characters. The intention of this question isn't necessarily to call attention to the morally bad or gray characters. It's just kind of to highlight the characters that made Caitlin and I want to die or kill. And I just didn't have anybody this book. Like, I feel like I was so focused on how wonderful the main characters were that I was like, everyone else is also here, but that's fine. How about you?
Yeah. I said Ramila, the keeper of the inn Zafira and Nasir stayed at, for not making Nasir share the one room with Zafira to make the only one bed trope happen sooner, and for changing Zafira's bandages when Nasir could have. He's a coward for this. Affectionate.
I was like, who did you not like in this book? Oh.
No, I really did not like anybody, but like, I remember reading that and being like, she's like, "Oh, I have one room left," and I was like, "So there was only one bed?" And then she's like, Nasir was like, "Oh," and then she took pity on me and let me sleep in the storage closet, and she, as long as she, you know, redid Zafira's bandages and watched over her, and I'm like, that could have been you. That could have been you.
It could have been
you.
You.
Could have done it yourself.
There's the tension.
Could have done it yourself.
Yeah.
There's a tension, but then they do eventually end up in the one bed together, and
they were teasing us with that one.
May or may not have woken up in each other's arms, just like I wanted them to. So it all worked out in the end.
Yeah.
So thanks for nothing, Ramila.
The right thing. Yeah. Is there a character you'd want to take the stars from the sky and fashion them into a crown for?
I mean, immediately Altair, my beloved. Oh my god, I love him so much. I have a very special place in my heart, for reasons no one should ever read into, for characters who are like all sunshine and bubbly on the outside, and they use humor to deflect, but then they've got like really deep stuff happening on the inside, or they have a lot of problems, but they're not going to tell you about it.
Let's unpack that.
Let's not unpack that. We don't have to unpack all that right now. But I really like those characters, and enjoy them a lot. And he really fits it. Just oh my god, everything he does, I'm kissing his feet. Like the ground he walks on, everything. I love him so much. I also, like I said before, I really liked Lana in this book so much, and I think it's just like, it's so easy for like the younger sibling characters to be written in like they're really annoying kind of way, because sometimes I feel like with sibling relationships in books, I want to look at the author and be like, are you an only child? Because I'm like, I've never talked to my sibling like this before. Or just like, I'm like, do you like, like what's going on here? But like, I really feel like Faizal really just captures like a really good dynamic between Zafira and Lana, and I really liked just Zafira like seeing Lana become like grow into her own and being like, oh, I should be the one to protect her, like she shouldn't protect me. But just Lana is so like, she's mature, but she's not, like she's not like an annoying, she's not written to be like an annoying child, but she's like, she has her moments.
Kid. Yeah, she's like
she's just a little kid, and
she's baby.
She is baby, and just seeing her like be there for Zafira, but also like kind of hold her own ground, and also be like the cute little sister that she is to, I don't know, I really like, every time she's on the page I loved her so much, and I just wanted to be like, oh, Lana, and just like hug her.
Yeah, big little sister vibes. I couldn't agree more.
How about you?
I mean, retweeting everything you said about both characters, for me, Altair really stuck out to me because like he does have like big Fleabag vibes, like big like deflecting, like as somebody who deflects a lot of negative feelings with humor, I just really enjoyed his character because he's just like a wisecracking silly Billy, and sometimes you have to be to fight the horrors. So I love that, and he's so charming and like so devoted to changing his country, to changing things for the people who, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about him. Just thinking about Altair. I love a character that's not only like charming but also devoted, because sometimes characters are charming but they have really bad intentions, and you can't trust them. But sometimes characters are charming and perfect and angelic and deserve the world, and that is Altair. Such a person Altair was to me.
Yes.
So that's on that. Wow. Him, capital H, him.
Him, but like there's spaces in between the H and the I, and the I and the M.
Yeah,
so it's drawn out.
Him. Yeah.
Him.
You get it.
All right, let's get into our peaks and valleys for We Free the Stars, I said. We Free the Stars. What was your first peak?
We're professionals.
We're professionals.
So for me, I mean, when it comes to romance and YA in generally, or just like human connection in general, I'm incredibly picky because, as you mentioned in our last episode, Caitlin, sometimes one character in a couple is more fleshed out than the other and more strongly written. And there are frankly certain relationship dynamics that I don't like at all. Like if one person in the couple is clearly less emotionally mature than the other and has a hard time communicating their feelings, or if both characters are having conflicts that could easily be resolved by fucking talking to each other.
Yeah,
Or like when the dynamic between the couple is so passionate that it's like abusive. Like,
yeah.
I'm just, those all give me the ick. And I feel like that's the one, that's like the book closer for me, is when the couple gives me the ick. But what I crave in a good fantasy novel is a storybook love. Like a romance where the characters are so, and I don't just mean, I want to be clear, I don't just mean like romance in like the romantic sense, but also like romance in the platonic sense, because like like platonic friendships can be inherently romantic, and there is so much of that in this book, like where the characters are so incredibly devoted to each other, or where one character is like kind of hesitant to like dive into the romance because of their self-esteem, and the other is willing to show their devotion to the other to prove that they're worthy of love. Those are the dynamics that really get me, and I just really treasure that Faisal was so talented in creating one of those follow you to the ends of the earth sorts of love, not just between Zafira and Nasir, but also between Nasir and Altair as well. And there's just something so comforting, I think, about reading this. And since this is YA and the how is this actionable part of my brain is satisfied, because I just think it shows readers what love could be. And that the person that's going to love you best is going to put in 100% for you, not just like two. So all of my love to Faisal for that. What was your first pick?
Well, that kind of goes into mine, my first one, which is all of the relationships in this book. And I'm not even talking just the romantic relationships. I'm talking like the sibling relationships between both Zafira and Lana, and Nasir and Altair. I loved seeing them both, just like the growth between like the sibling relationships with like I've already talked about how much I love Lana and how she wasn't just the annoying younger sibling, but just like seeing her grow into this young woman becoming a healer like her mom once, and like even there are times when Zafira's like, no, like I don't want to lose you, and Lana has to tell Zafira like, I can't not help these people, like like you have to let me, like I don't know, just like seeing that, like, you know, like we're both older siblings, and we sometimes, I know we both look at our younger siblings and be like, you're not allowed to grow up because like I just want to big slipping through my fingers moment, you know. And I like but you have to let them and be like, okay, I can't always be there to protect you, even though I want to be, and like you can still protect them, but you also have to let them grow into your own person. And so I really liked seeing that. I loved seeing Nasir and Altair grow together as brothers, because first of all, we didn't know that they were brothers for the longest time, and We Hunt the Flame, and then you find that out, and it's just like they love each other so much. But like Altair obviously loves Nasir because he's more outward with his affection, whereas Nasir doesn't always show that, but we got to see that like a lot throughout this book, and I think a lot of that helped with the fact that he didn't have Altair in the beginning and they lost him, and like there were so many times, like not even just Nasir, but all of them were like someone would say something and someone would say something quippy, and then like someone would like Kifa would be like, oh, I was waiting for an Altair to make a smart remark, or Nasir was like, I was waiting to hear the sound of Altair's scimitars coming out, and I'm just like, oh, they miss him so much.
They miss him.
But like my favorite line that happened between Nasir and Altair was when Altair does come back and Nasir sees him for the first time, and he thinks, for the first time since the nightmare began, he found he could breathe. And it's just like it's like they're all together again. It was
Daddy's
all good.
home.
Daddy's home. But I also really liked the friendship between Yasmin and Zafira, and not because of how close they were, but because of the conflict that happened between them. So Dean, who was Yasmin's brother, obviously he died in the first book, and Saphira is feeling a lot of guilt from that because she didn't love him the way that he loved her, and she feels guilty about that because she feels like she owes that for Yasmin, who she calls like the sister of her heart, and there's just so much loss, and Saphira feels very responsible, and it gets to the point where Yasmin even like calls her a murderer because it was just, you know, the thing to say to make her hurt as much as Yasmin was. And just seeing that conflict of like, not because, you know, like with your friendships, like not everything is all like, you know, great and fantastic all the time, and I feel like a lot of books like will just be like, oh, but they were best friends, so it's okay. It's like, no, I want to see them communicate through this. Like, yeah, fight. But, like, not even fight, but just, like, tell each other, like, hey, you hurt me. And, like, good friendships are the ones where you can be like, hey, I didn't like how this happened because it made me feel this way. And you can talk about it. And it's great. And I loved the line where, like, it's heartbreaking, but towards the end, Yasmin tells Saphira, I'm not trying to stop you, Saphira. I only want to be important enough to be spoken to not be kept in the dark. Am I not worth saying goodbye to? Am I not worthy of an explanation of the truth? Because Saphira was kind of keeping her in the dark because she and the Zumra, like, they all had their plans, but, like, she wasn't telling Yasmin anything. And Yasmin is over here, like, she's lost her brother. Poor girl is about to lose her husband. She lost her best friend for a long... Like, she's losing everything, and Saphira's just, like, not communicating with her. And I love that she said that to Saphira, and it kind of opened up Saphira's eyes and being like, shit, sorry. Sorry about that. So, I don't know. Their relationship was really interesting to me in this book, so I liked seeing that all play out.
I agree. I love fighting with my friends. Like, for real, though. Like, I really, like, I'm not saying that to be like, I love conflict, but I just think, like, you should be able to, like, I think, like, what I like about Zafira and Yasmin's dynamic in this book is exactly what you just said, so I don't want to, like, reiterate too much, but, like, I think healthy conflict in friendship is really good in some, in like,
oh yeah,
in like a YA book to demonstrate, because, like, if you're a younger person reading a book and maybe you don't know how to communicate, you can read that and be like, oh, this is cool, this is helpful, you know. So that's my feeling about that. It is. I didn't even think about this, so I'm glad you brought this up. That's really woof.
Big fan of communication.
Meow. So just zippity zapping into my second peek. I love this theme of, like, the Zumra and Kifa as the glue for the Zumra.
Yeah.
I love a good family dynamic that I can just hold in the palm of my little hands and smile at friends. Like, it just gives me the warm and cozy feelings. I was thinking today about this, like, why, because there are a lot of tropes that I really love. Found family is definitely a favorite of mine. And I think what I like about it so much is that it's, like, a very inherently queer experience to face trauma and hardship with your blood relatives and still be able to find love and family elsewhere. And, like, especially around the holidays right now, where a lot of people are kind of, like, leaning on their found family for support, especially in the queer community. I just really liked reading this so close to that time, because it kind of reminded me of how important found family is, not just in fiction but in real life. So there's that really is, like, ooh, making me feel warm and cozy and fuzzy. On that note, I want to turn back to Kifa. I talked a little bit earlier about Becky's book blog and how she described Kifa as the glue that holds the family together. I love that sentiment so much, because if she returned to her Kelly permanently, the entire Zumra, I think, could have fallen apart without her. Yeah. And I also love the fact that Kifa is cued as asexual and aromantic. And you find out her and Altair's relationship, which seems like it's kind of building up in the first book, is a very devotional platonic friendship. I love that, because I think we're so quick. I think just because of, not to, like, go full, like, Soch 101, but I think because we're just so, like, charged towards heteronormativity, we're so quick to pair people in boy-girl friend groups. And for what? Yeah. Like, picture me sitting in the chair like Wendy Williams on her show and just being like, and for what? because like we don't need to do that, and it's not essential. And
Right.
sometimes people don't like sometimes when there are two guys and two girls, they don't need to be together. That worked in When Harry Met
No.
Sally, and that's the only place it should be working. Be fucking for real. But yeah, like Faisal said, nah, actually they're friends, and I'm really glad that she made that statement and that we got to witness maybe one of the very rare asexual and aromantic characters in a good YA fiction book.
Well, on that note, my peak was about Kifa being the first asexual character I've ever read, which I thought was woohoo. So yay for representation. I liked how it all played out too, because Zafira asks Kifa if she loves Altair, and Kifa responds, "I'm afraid my affections don't run that way. I love him, yes, fiercely. Affection isn't measured and defined by tangible contact for me." And she goes on to tell Zafira how she used to think that she just hadn't found the right person yet, but she just really never felt that pull or desire that other people feel. And I've never read a character like that. And honestly, reading this really helped me understand that perspective and that mindset that people have, and that people who are asexual have. So it was very eye-opening for me to like understand like how that works. Like, yeah, like they love people, but they just don't have that sexual desire. And I also just loved that one, that there was an asexual character, and then two, that it just meant that Kifa and Altair do have that platonic, wonderful relationship, because like you were saying, like we really don't need to we don't need to pair everybody up like that. Like I just think it makes it awkward when you just assume, like I hate, like there'll be times where like I'll mention a friend who is a guy, and then sometimes people be like, ooh, who's so and so, and I'll be like, they're my friend, the period. Like that's it. Like not everything has to be like that. And I don't know, I think we need to see more of those platonic relationships like that in media.
Who is so? They are my house elf.
They're my house elf.
They live in my closet. They come out and they polish my shoes for me.
Yeah.
They use
Everybody
the litter
needs
box.
a house elf.
They are not my romantic interest. They are not. Just because his name is Rob doesn't mean he's just some guy that I'm interested in fucking.
Exactly.
He's my
But
house elf.
yeah, that was it was very eye-opening for me, so it was really nice to read that, and I hope to read more characters like Kifa.
Yay! More ace characters!
Yay!
Give it to me now! For
What's your valley?
valleys, none. I mean, there's nothing that I don't like about this book. Instead, I'm going to use this opportunity to make fun of a Goodreads review that I read about this book. Because I'm a bully. So I'm not even going to bring it up because it's just not worth it. But today when I was reading Goodreads reviews about this book and I was, putting together my notes, I read one that was, "This book is sexist," because of the comment about men being like fish. And it was like, "This book is sexist toward men." And I just sat there and had a good old belly laugh. Like,
tell me you didn't read the book without telling me you didn't read the book.
I yucked and yucked like a woodchuck. I was like, "You are so stupid. I wish you the best with your critical thinking skills." So that's my valley, that there was someone out there in the world that picked this book up and took that away from it. Good luck, Charlie.
I really don't think that they picked it up. Good luck, Charlie.
Okay, like.
Oh, yeah, no, seriously, they clearly didn't read the book.
Yikes. So that's
Good
it.
try, though.
What about you?
Yeah, when I don't have valleys for a book, this could easily be a place to be like, hee, my valley is that there isn't more of this book. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Wish there was more. But honestly, the way this book ends is so freaking perfect. I don't need more.
No.
It's perfect. It just wraps everything up for both Nasir and Saphira, just to know not only they get their happy ending, but like just from both of their first pages in We Hunt the Flame to their last, like it's just a beautiful, like, woo, Merry Christmas. It's Christmas time. Here's a big bow wrapped in the series. Like, I don't need any more. I don't need any more from this story. I feel so satisfied. Like, even with books that end where it's like, that was a good ending, but like, even if it doesn't even hint that there could be more to the story, you still be like, oh, I kind of hope we see more of these characters. But with all of them, I love them so much. Don't need any more.
Yeah, and
Don't
I think
need
there's
it.
also that fear of like the third book in the trilogy just like ruining everything.
Yeah.
So you're just like,
I don't need it.
I just need this. Please don't do anything else. What's that? It's like that song, that TikTok sound that's like Carl from Jimmy Neutron, where he's like, "Oh, I couldn't possibly. Well, maybe just a little more." Okay, yeah. I'll have one more or something like that.
I'll have one more. That's really fun. But well, I don't need another story of these characters, just so that no one else dies or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And because it was so perfectly wrapped up, Hafsah Faizal is coming out with another book. It's called A Tempest of Tea. Is coming out fall of next year, so fall 2023. I don't believe it's in the Sands of Aurora universe. I don't think, but no. I want you to listen to the pitch for this book.
Ooh, okay.
It's fantastic. Whee! It's pitched as a duology, and it's pitched as King Arthur meets Peaky Blinders with vampires.
Well,
like, hello?
Well, I'll be there.
I need it. And what's funny is I saw what got me into what made me pick up these books was I saw a TikTok that Hafsah posted of like her like adding all these things into like her book, and then just her going, you're done. And it was so funny to me. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I need to read your books. And that's when I went to Barnes and Noble and I picked up We Hunt the Flame.
She's so charming.
She's hilarious and she's wonderful, and I just, oh my god, I can't praise her enough. But I saw, I was like, okay, I know that this book is coming out soon, so that is the pitch for her other book. And it says, the novel follows a gang of outcasts in a deadly heist led by Arthur Casimir to save her tea room, which fronts an illegal blood house where local vampires can purchase fresh blood. Like, I'm there.
That's so cool.
If Tempest of Tea has 100 fans, I am one of them.
Yeah.
If they have 10 fans, I'm one of them.
Just Caitlin and I jumping up and down from far away. Like, yay! Wow. I just have to say, too, while we're talking about Hafsah Faizal, I think what you said about, like, her just being, like, really funny is so, like, it's so endearing to me, because I really do think there are a lot of YA, like, millennial authors that kind of give me the ick a little bit. Like, do you remember that one Chris Fleming sketch where it's, like, he's, like, meeting people after a show, and this one guy shows up and does a bit, and he's, like, leaping around, and he, like, holds out something for Chris, and Chris is like, is that for me? And he just kind of keeps leaping around some more, and Chris gets really uncomfortable.
Is that the one where, like Carol the Bells starts playing? Yeah. Not Carol the Bells, but like
yeah. Like,
Sleigh Ride.
Yes, Sleigh Ride. That is the vibes that a lot of YA authors give me. Just like this very oh, is this for me? Like type of. But she doesn't do that for me. I love her. I respect her. She's great.
Oh, she's great. I love her.
Yeah. So Caitlin, on a scale of 1 to 5, and I didn't come up with a good reading system, so I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 5 times that I have taken my hair out of my fucking towel and then wrapped it again during this call because I'm having massive sensory issues. How many of those experiences would you give this book?
I rate that 5 out of 5 towels taken off of your head throughout this entire podcast recording. 5 out of 5. I love this duology so much. It's one of those that I can't recommend enough to other people. It's right up there with the Six of Crows duology for me. It's right up there with the Dance of Thieves duology. Like those, like there is a perfect duology. It is this one with those other two right next to it. I think it's
good.
You can't pick a favorite child.
Nice.
No, but I love it. I love it so much. And I clearly can't articulate how much I love this book.
I'm literally going to write that in an email to Rad. This is my favorite project you've ever did with those other two right next to it. I love that. Immediately part of my vocabulary, unironically.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What did you rate it? Please save me.
Oh, no. Oh, wow. That was really loud. I think it's time for bed. I would give this, I don't know why I thought that was so funny. I was like, like a girl laughing at a bar at a guy that she wants to sleep with her. I just laughed so loudly. Also, the guy is Altair.
Yeah.
That's why. Anyway, I just dropped my retainer. I would give this a 5 out of 5. I don't have a reason not to. Like, it's such rich writing. Faizal is one of the most talented writers that I've experienced. I've read over, like, honestly, like, over 40 books this year. And this is one of the few books where I was just like, yeah, baby! Like, I really enjoyed every moment of it. It deserves all the praise. Could not say more nice things about it. Please read this book.
So good.
Please read this
Read
series.
the book.
Yeah.
Do it.
Thank you for listening to Lit by Moonlight. We have had a wonderful season with you all. Cannot say that enough. And as we prepare for a little holiday hiatus, we wanted to take a moment to thank you all for spending every few Thursdays with us. We love sharing our love of Lit with you, and we are so excited to share even more fun and exciting things with you all.
There's so much.
Including some very exciting projects we have in store for 2023. So if you're spending this winter holiday with these holidays with like your family or your found family or what have you, we hope you enjoy, and we'll miss you.
We'll miss you, but we'll see you in January for some really exciting stuff, and you can find more about that on our social media. You can follow us on Instagram at LBM Pod. We're on Tumblr, and I think our URL is Lit by Moonlight Pod. We're on Twitter, but we both hate Twitter, so you can follow us there.
On Twitter, we are Elon Musk, and we have a check mark now. Yeah. So just go find us. There's like a lot of us, but you'll find us.
Yeah, you'll find us. You'll find us. Read through the Elons and you'll find us.
Through the Elons.
All right, we'll see you next year, baby.
Bye.